Would you say that the best poker player that year tends to win? Or like, obviously you can't be bad. I'm bad. I'm not a poker player. I wouldn't win. But, is maybe like any one of 10 people it could have been. It depends who got the cards.
Well, so something to think about, right? It used to be that there were only like 10 or 15 of those bracelets, right, a year. And they had small fields. It was usually like the best players. And it's just turned into a progressively bigger shit show over the course of the last like 20 years because the casino wants as many people to play as possible because they make more money. So it's turned into, rather than having like 10 events with a high buy-in of like skilled people proving who's the best, it's turned into like, who wants to come on down and gamble for $300? And it's like, there's like tens of thousands of people. So I would say, generally speaking, winning any event, and it varies because there's still like the high buy-in ones that have small fields, but most events you just have to be incredibly lucky. And a lot of times the person that wins is not very good. It's just like, if 10,000 people play in a tournament, there might only be like 400 good people in that tournament. So like just law of numbers, like what's more likely, one of the 9,600 other guys wins, or like one of the people that's pretty good?
Someone's just going to Black Swan event their way to a bracelet.
Yeah. If you watch, the main event or the World Series of Poker main event from beginning to end, almost every time you'll find the guy who won it. Like if you watch Chris Moneymaker's streak he went on, how many times he was all in on the bad side of the cards and just waiting to leave. And then they were like, another king. And he just kept, oh my God, he just doubled up. Now he's the chip leader. And it's a lucky streak a lot of times that they go on. And there'll be multiple times throughout it where, or Mike Mattisau's meltdown that time of the World Series of Poker when he was up so good. And like you just get on a hot streak or a bad streak in an event like that. And that's usually what happened to the winners and losers.
Yeah. So
just too many people to average out.
Yeah, totally. I mean, there are some smaller fields where it's less like that, but I mean, it's still similar. So like the bracelet I won that was the biggest, it was the buy-in was 111,000. Actually they try to get really cute with it. It's like 111,111 because like 1. It's like, okay, all right, we get it, guys. So anyway, but at the final table, I was shorter stacked and I went all in with like, I want to say like 10-9 suited, right? And I got called by a guy with ace queen. So my chance to win that hand is like 38-40%, something like that. So I have a decent shot, but I'm obviously an underdog. And I hit the flop and doubled up and ended up winning the tournament. And you just think about it like, well, 60% of the time he knocks me out. I get 9th place. And then we're not talking about this, 6 years later or whatever. So there is a tremendous amount of luck. And this is something that's not even just in poker, right? Like we see it in like just the world. This tilts me like business guys. You'll see a business guy that's really successful. Wow, what a genius. He was so successful. It's like, well, he probably did some like really degenerate shit to get there, Like he probably had a moment where he was like, well, I'm going to keep all my shares, like YOLO it up. Is a good. And if he had just hit the 40%, like he could have gotten, stacked or whatever the equivalent would be in the real world. You go broke.
Corrupt.
So we basically always do this thing where we look at winners and just assume that means they were smart or good or whatever. And it's really not like that. It's just like poker's just mainly luck, man. Just mainly luck every day.
That's what... See, that's like my total novice don't play poker thing of like, yeah, that's probably mostly luck. And so to hear one of the best players in the world say that, because Kyle, you disagree. You don't think it's mostly luck, right?
Oh no. Well, all right. Like I think the best players in the world are going to win way more often.
Sure.
Like that's I believe that, but I believe there's obviously luck involved. Like there's a reason they even after our money's in, they'll give you the odds that he just described the situation, ace queen versus the 10-9 suited. They still dealt the cards, for a reason. And now let's see. So there's definitely luck involved. I just think over the long run, you beat the luck if you were a good player.
Yeah.
Playing against players who aren't as good.
Yeah, and that's like the key point, right? It's like in the long run, you get them, but in the short run, it's just anyone's ball game. Like anything can happen. Anyone can win. And by the way, that makes it a really good game because like no one wants to play high stakes chess, right? Oh yeah, I'm totally gonna get Magnus today. You're not.
No, he's gonna win.
You're not. But in poker, even if you just go all in every hand, right? If you're playing 1-on-1 or whatever, your chance to win is probably like 40%, 38%, whatever it might be. So it's not. You're never really that far behind unless you're. The only way you can be really, truly terrible in poker is if you just are really conservative and you refuse to like try and ever win any pots. If you're just like, I'm going to just check this down and see if I win, then you can lose pretty much every time. But if you're just like kind of aggressive and just even spazzy, you're gonna win a lot of poker. It's just the way the game works.
You You know how people overestimate their ability in so many things. I did that in poker. And there was a time like 2-3 years ago when like poker was getting popular amongst our fan base, and people would give me $50 to gamble with in the crowd. And my dumb ass kept getting bad cards and liking them. I'd be like, 7-9. It's a bit of a fixer-upper, but imagine we get like a 6, an 8, and a 10. Then I got something.
Yeah.
And that concept of a fixer-upper lost people their money.
I'm next time I play a shitty hand, I'm gonna call it a fixer-upper. I like that. I'm gonna put that in my own game.
This hand's got potential. It just needs the right flop.
Yeah, it's got good bones.
Sometimes with those kinds of hands, though, you end up in really tricky spots. Like probably the most famous hand I've played, I was against Phil Hellmuth, and I called with a 10-7 before the flop, and the flop came Jack 9-8. So I have the second nuts. The best possible hand's Queen 10, and the second best hand's 10-7, and then you could have 3 of a kind, 2 pair, whatever. So Phil checks, some other guy bets, I raise, and so I make it like 7,000 to go on the flop, and Phil just goes all in for 100 grand over the top of my bet, and the other guy folds, and I'm back to me, and I'm just like, this is horrific because because I know how Phil plays, and he's not the kind of guy that's just like, oh, I'm just gonna throw 100 grand in here and just see what happens. Like he's a generally good player, like I mean overall, but he tends to be conservative. So I was in a horrible spot. I thought it out and I decided to let it go. And it's tough on TV because when you make a decision like that, if you're wrong, people will call you a moron.
I'm not a poker guy. When you say you decided to let it go, what
folded?
happened?
I folded. I threw it away.
Mm-hmm.
I let him win the pot. I was like, okay, I'm not going to call this bet. And then I showed him my hand and I threw it away. And you could tell he's like, and then he quickly got rid of his cards without showing anything. And he's like, trying to make it seem like he didn't have it, but really he did. And so when we watched it back, you could see that he had it. And it's like, it's a great clip now because I made like a just about like the toughest read you can make as a poker player, which is like, I have the second best possible hand and I'm up against the best possible hand. You're always supposed to lose all your money there, but I managed to get away. So that's great. But if he was bluffing me, and I did that, and now it's like, watch Doug Polk get owned. It's like stamped on the thumbnail,
right?
Like, owned, and I'm like, ah.
Yeah, it'd have you like soy facing on the thumbnail. Like,
oh
no, minus 100K or whatever the amount of money was. You play so much poker now.
Hellmuth needs to get that mole removed. That thing is so gross, dude. You ever sitting across the table from that dude and you just entranced by that mole on his face?
I don't remember a mole.
Oh, I love him to death, but I think
Phil Hellmuth?
I think he pays the cameraman to like.
Can we get a picture, Zach?
No, honestly, any second you're spent thinking about that mole, Kyle, is a second you're not doing mental math on your likelihood to win.
Oh, yeah.
So like that's why like
hot odds go out the window.
Why those guys wear sunglasses upside down?
Some guy with like a lazy eye is gonna take the whole place by storm. He's the only guy that doesn't wear sunglasses, and they're like, we're trying to decipher where Terry's looking. No one can tell.
Come on, bro. It's right there in the middle of your face. Come on. Just come on, lop it off.
Yeah, I guess I don't really like get into this kind of stuff that much.
I guess I'm more about the cards.
I'm at work.
I've watched that man on TV since I was 19 years old, and I've always thought, like, dude, just get it cut off. Thank
God for that arrow.
Kyle, are there any other men's appearances you kind of want to get into right now? Do you have like some thoughts, some hot takes?
I mean, I just don't. I think that if you got some sort of abnormality like that, you should get that looked after. Like that thing could be cancerous. I don't think it's grown over the years, but I'm just saying, I'd get that nipped off.
Yeah, you had the eyelid version of that, and so now you're hyper aware, hypersensitive.
Well, anything hanging off somebody, you want to get that taken care of. You don't want any dangly extras.
You don't want danglers.
No, I don't know. It looks distinguished.
You don't want to have fixed uppers on your face.
No. That's so funny. That's the one thing you remembered about that guy, Kyle. You didn't even know off the top of your head, like I do, that he's won 17 bracelets and 210 money finishes.
I had no idea, of course. No, I didn't. I didn't know any of that.
And an ITM winner, which seems to be like a tough thing to get.
And he's one of the most fun guys to watch on TV because he loses badly and he wins badly often too. And it's fun to watch that shit show at times. Go ahead, please.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say on there's a show called Poker Go, and it's like a really highly produced poker studio in Las Vegas. They do most of the really big shows, and there's like I think it was on a show called High Stakes Poker, which is like one of their premier shows. And then someone's like, "Have you seen this on High Stakes Poker?" I'm like, "What?" And they sent me a link, and he's just like on one of the breaks in between hands, he just goes on a rant about like me specifically, like calling me fake news, Doug. He's just like going to town. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm just like getting like, I'm not even on this show. I'm not even there. You're just like, oh, let's have a little conversation about Doug. I don't get it. Why?
Why did he think you were fake news, Doug? Were you sneaking like jokers in the deck?
So Phil does this thing where, so my YouTube channel, I cover a lot of like news, like what's happening in poker, news, drama, stuff like that. And so when he does like his like antics, so he's famous for blowing up, right? Like he just has these meltdowns.
Even I've seen it.
Yeah, I mean they're very well known. And so when they happen, I cover them because they're newsworthy and they're also goddamn hilarious. So we look at them and like usually we do some trolling and we see what he did. And there's this one he did that was like particularly egregious, where it was at the World Series of Poker, and he was at like a final table. And I saw clips of it, but I wanted to watch the whole thing because it was so ridiculous. And for like an hour and a half, this guy was just like cursing his face off at everyone, like fucking cards, fucking you fucking, and he's just yelling at everyone. He's throwing cards, he's yelling shit, and then he's like, "I'm gonna burn this place to the fucking ground. I'm gonna burn to the fucking ground." And by the way, most people, if you do that, they're gonna kick you out. Like you can't threaten to burn down the building you're in. That's like not like a thing you're allowed to do.
Yeah, that extends beyond poker, believe it or not.
I can imagine that. But because he's Phil, they're just like, "Phil, please stop. Like, it's okay. Just don't do it." So I cover this, and I've been making fun of him for like several years now. But in his view, this is my fault for covering it. You see what I'm saying? Like, not his fault for being insane, like, or whatever you want to call
it's
it.
the
Like,
security camera's fault for catching me robbing you. That's stupid. Not my fault.
Exactly.
Well, if you hadn't pointed a finger at him being all spastic, someone else would have. Like, it's not like it would have faded away. So he needs to calm down.
Well, I think regardless of like who ends up covering it or doesn't cover it, if you're going to go on to some kind of public show and behave however, you're opening up yourself to commentary, and then blaming the person that's doing the commentary on what you did is just like childish. It's like, that's not how the world works, right? Like we all get to have opinions. We all get to like, say what we think about things, and then to blame the people saying something because you don't like what they say. It's just, I mean, welcome to America.
Was he saying like, he blew it out of proportion? I wasn't yelling I was going to burn the establishment down. I said I had matches and I winked.
I said the cards are on. No, he is I wonder how much of that is a show because look, if you sit there and you lose well and you win well and you win whatever his percentage of the time is or whatever his winnings are, like maybe you're not as famous. But if you're just bombastic and you are a show, win, lose, or draw, which he is, win, lose, or draw, he's a show. Whether you like that show or not, it's a different question. So I've always thought that.